Thrive Alive. I'm Mark Mulligan, and this is a space where I share ideas, tips, and techniques to help boost your mood, your energy, and your well-being. Today, I'd like to address what is probably the biggest challenge that any of us are ever going to face in our lifetime, the coronavirus, and how it is during this time that we can help maintain our mental and physical well-being so that we can bounce back quickly and be our best selves. I'm joined by my very good friend, Rhys Beynon. Rhys is a consultant in emergency medicine at St George's Hospital in London. You may recognise him from the telly. He was in 24 Hours in A&E on Channel 4. Because I'm in isolation and he's working on the front line, we're going to have our conversation today via Zoom. Hello, Rhys.
Hi, Mark. It's good to see you.
Good to see you too. So you're working on the front line in A&E in the London hospital. How is it at the moment?
So I think, these last few weeks have been a real change and challenge for us working in hospital. We've had to totally change the way that we work, and it's been a real challenge for us to sort of all come together and really think outside the box and think about different ways, really, in the way that we provide care for people in a safe way. But it's been inspirational and sort of magical to see how crisis really has brought everyone together in our department.
And this video, we're going to have some tips and techniques and inspiration for people. Why do you think that's so important for people right now?
I think it's important to try and, provide as much information for people so that they can get through this, both sort of physically and mentally, so that at the end, sort of as a group of people, we can sort of reflect and sort of feel that we've been able to sort of have the right information, maybe.
Today, our intention is to share with the viewers some practical ideas of things they can do to shift how they think, how they feel, but most importantly, how it is that they behave so that they can thrive more of the time. So I just was wondering, maybe we could start with thinking. In the current situation, it's completely natural for people to think, worst case scenario, if you like, to catastrophize. And whilst it's natural, it's not so useful in our thinking processes or even to our overall well-being. When you dwell on worst case scenarios, it affects not just our mood, but also our immunity. So from your perspective, Rhys, what would be a more useful mindset to have in this current situation?
Well, I think, with regard to this virus, I think that we have to remember that the majority of people that get this are not going to be significantly affected. So even if you're, especially if you're young and you're fit and you don't have any medical problems, the likelihood is that you'll have maybe a little bit of fever, some cough for a couple of days, and then your symptoms will resolve.
Absolutely. So I guess what you're saying is get a little bit of perspective on it, that 98% of people will pass through it with a relatively small impact. And I guess also maybe the perspective of looking at it over time, that this is a moment in time and this will pass. As with all other things, it will pass. And so first of all, we talked about thinking, and now moving on to feeling. So when I talk to my friends and my family, I see that a lot of people are feeling worried, afraid, panicked. And whilst it's natural to be in this state, it's neither useful for us individually or collectively. And I was reading an article recently, and they were saying that the virus pandemic is not the critical thing here. The real problem is that we're entering into a fear pandemic. So from your perspective, if fear and panic are unresourceful ways to be feeling, what would be a more resourceful way for somebody to feel if they could choose?
I think, everyone has the choice. So I think it's important that you can try and stay positive, try and stay safe, and try and stay sane.
We talked about thinking and feeling, but now what is it that we could do? In preparation for today, we reached out to our friends, family, and colleagues to ask for advice on what it is that you could do to stay positive, sane, and safe with our new reality. We were amazed with the responses that came back from hundreds of suggestions. And what we've done is we've categorized them into 5 key areas. The first is mind, the second is body, the third is connection with other human beings, the fourth is having a sense of purpose, and the fifth is about our own personal performance. In each of these areas, we've got 3 suggestions, invitations if you like, to help boost your mood, your energy, and your well-being. So the first one is mind. And here, the one that actually, this is probably the most popular thing that came back from everybody that we spoke to. It was about being clear about what it is that we put into our mind. It's so easy to get sucked into 24-hour news feeds. And I'm not saying that it's not important to stay informed, but set boundaries around when it is that you connect with news and how long you do it for. And also be careful about where the news comes from. There's so much misinformation out there. Make sure your sources are credible and correct. And the same can be said for social media. There's nothing wrong with a few minutes on Facebook or Insta, but if you find yourself on it all day and it's making you miserable, maybe think about doing something different.
Another really easy thing that you can do is to practice gratitude. And something that you could do easily is just every morning when you wake up, just to write 3 things down that you're grateful for. This is something that you can do at any time really, but at times like this, I think it's really powerful and important.
The third area that I'd like to explore is around meditation. I don't know if you've ever done meditation, but maybe now is a good time to experiment with it. There's an app called Headspace that I particularly love. And over the next few months, they've got a completely free section, and it's called Weathering the Storm. And this is available for everybody, irrespective of whether you subscribed to it or not. Now, meditation won't stop you having negative thoughts, but what it might do is it might stop you actually believing them. The second area is our physical bodies. It's so important to maintain our physical well-being. You know what they say, healthy body, healthy mind. Also, if we maintain our physical well-being, we're going to be so much stronger and able to cope with the virus should we get it. Now, we only have a small time to cover all of the physical things, but there's 3 that we'd like to cover off with you. The first one is sleep.
So I think, if you're isolating or if you're working from home, I think the most important thing is you try and keep to your same routine. So trying to go to bed at the same time as you would do normally and getting up early. But I think as well, take the opportunity that if you don't normally get enough sleep because you've got long commutes, etc., this is your time to try and maybe catch up.
So the second area under physical body I'd like to talk about is exercise. Now, we all know that exercise is good for us, but knowing it and doing it are 2 separate things. But being at home can create a challenge for some people. So thinking about maybe only 15 minutes a day, something that it is that you're going to do. I've been amazed at the suggestions that have come through from people. One lady suggested that she was going to dance around the house naked. Fantastic. It's not the sort of thing you would do in the office. Take the opportunity of being in isolation to do something new and different. But also there's lots of groups that are starting off with people exercising together. Maybe it's doing yoga together or Zumba and using technology to be able to exercise in a concise way. And the third area is...
So keeping hydrated. So that's really important. I'm always asked actually by, quite often by people, how much water do you need to drink to stay hydrated? And, historically, there was a phase where we needed to drink liters and liters and liters of water, but actually just listen to your body. If you're thirsty, you probably need to drink, and you need to drink as much so that your urine is like a slight straw color. So if your urine is totally clear, that means that you're drinking too much water, and that potentially could be harmful for you. Obviously, if you're at home, try and avoid drinking too much caffeine throughout the day, because this is a diuretic and will make you more dehydrated. And the same with alcohol, trying to avoid drinking excessive amount of alcohol because you're feeling bored or you're not entirely sure what to do.
So the third area that we were thinking about was about connection. Now, of course, when we're in isolation, we're not connecting with other human beings, and that could be a real problem for all of us. So the first suggestion here is around using technology to connect with people. I've been hearing some amazing stories, like a Skype choir, where between 50 and 100 people are getting together and they're singing together. This evening, I've been invited to a virtual pub, the Dog and Duck, to have a drinks party with some of my friends. So how is it that we can use technology as an enabler, like Zoom that we're using for this conversation today?
The other thing that I'd like to talk about really is the intention when you're talking to people and you're connecting with people. I think it's really easy for us to start our conversations with the negative and moaning, or about sort of the gloom and the doom. But I think it's just alongside with the gratitude, I think it's important that when we do connect with people, that we try and connect with the positive things first, and actually trying to focus on positive communication rather than negative. The other thing is You could share maybe some positive resources. So if you read something that's made you feel good or has helped you throughout the day, then actually by sharing that on social media instead of actually sharing doom and gloom. And those sort of things, the 2 easy steps can actually help you feel a lot more positive and strong throughout this to help you get through it.
And the third suggestion here is around making it playful, your connections and your relationships with people. I heard a story about a man and wife, and they were working together at home. They had never sort of done that before. And what they did is they created an imaginary coworker, somebody that when something went wrong, that they blamed them for everything. They called them Clarence. And so if things weren't going well, Clarence didn't put the paper in the photocopier machine. Clarence spilled coffee. Clarence didn't wash up. So just have that playfulness, that lightness in our connections. The fourth area that we'd like to look at is having a sense of purpose. Now, I think that this world event will either bring out the best in us or it'll bring out the worst in us. And I think it's a real opportunity for it to bring out the best in us. And when we explore how it is that we can be of service to other people in this crisis, I think not only will it make a big difference for these other people, but it will make a big difference to our own well-being as well. So Rhys, do you have any suggestions about how it is that we could do this?
Yeah, a friend of mine on Facebook shared something really, really simple, but I thought it was just perfect for this time. It was just a little card that you would print off, write your name on it and post it through your neighbour's letterbox with your mobile phone number on, just saying, I'm available, give me a call if you need to, or if you need anything from the shops, I can help you out with it. And I think, especially in a big city like London, where sometimes we don't even know who our neighbours are, potentially this is, a great opportunity to actually bring community together and just to help each other out.
Great. So I think the second opportunity in terms of exploring our purpose is, again, using technology, not just about our neighbours that we live beside, but people sort of further away. I've heard about a group in Ireland where you sign up and you're connected with somebody who lives in your area, who is self-isolating. And it's just somebody that you can actually phone or WhatsApp and have a connection with them so that you can help and support them during this time.
For me, actually, people have got a little bit more time on their hands now and they're reflecting on their behavior and maybe, we're seeing a real shift from consuming to actually contributing. Because I think actually, there's no places to go out, all the bars are closed and clubs are closed. So maybe instead of, there's less focus on maybe buying expensive shoes and things that are less important to actually, actually thinking about how can I help somebody who's maybe less fortunate than me and actually contributing something to society rather than just taking all the time.
I think it was Churchill who said that we make a living by what we get, but we make a life by what we give. And it's helping people to get back to that sensibility. The fifth area we're going to look at is personal productivity and how it is you can have a sense of achievement in this completely new reality of ours. One of the main pieces of feedback we got was the importance of keeping a routine, to wake up at your normal time, get dressed as you would for work. With modern technology, we can stay in touch with colleagues and schedule breaks, using Zoom or Skype, keeping things as normal as possible from a work perspective. However, we can't ignore that things have changed beyond our control. In many homes, children and parents are now home together all day. This makes creating routine much more daunting if you're working full-time and home educating your children. Some people have suggested taking shifts with their partners and splitting up childcare responsibilities. With children, I think it's particularly important to keep schedules as regular as possible. Regular bedtimes, meal times, school and playtimes.
Having boundaries about when you're working and when you're not working is really important, because I think if you're at home, potentially, those boundaries can be blurred. And I suppose there's flexibility. If you're working at home, potentially you might find that you're more productive in the morning and maybe more productive in the evening, and having the gift maybe of maybe taking some time off in the afternoon that you wouldn't do normally. But whatever you're doing is setting that out clearly for yourself so that you know that this is when I'm working and this is when I'm not working. Just to allow yourself time to rest and do the things that you would do normally.
Brilliant. I met somebody a couple of years ago who worked from home all the time, and he had this system that when he was finished work, that he would call his wife, who was actually just downstairs in the kitchen, and would say, I'm on my way home soon. And then when he closed the door of his home office, he would say, honey, I'm home. And that was him done for the day. So I think having boundaries around where you work in the house and what times you work in the house can make a big difference in terms of your mental health.
The third suggestion for feeling a sense of achievement is to set a new goal for yourself. Are there any things that you've always wanted to do but simply haven't had the time, like learning a language or a skill or an instrument, or even just doing a good spring clean? This is the time when we're all forced to slow down and finally can get round to those things that we've always wanted to do. Some people's commute has been cut from 2 hours a day right down to no hours a day, so potentially that's an extra 10 hours a week that could be used for something really worthwhile. Now, we don't need to set unrealistic goals for ourselves like becoming fluent in Spanish or inventing a new app, but maybe just planting some new flowers in the garden or decorating a room or even just baking a cake.
So those are the 5 areas. So first being mind, then body, connection with other human beings, having a sense of purpose, and also your own personal performance. I also wanted to talk a little bit about the specifics of the coronavirus and what it is that we should be doing to protect ourselves.
There's 3 simple things to do for this, and I'm sure that most people will have heard of them, but I think it's good to talk through them again. So the first thing obviously is washing your hands. With any practice like this that you've got 20 seconds or more, is actually turning it into maybe a chore, actually into something that's mindful, and enjoying the feeling, almost like giving yourself a hand massage, maybe taking a minute to smell the soap, and just enjoying the things, that the senses, the noises that you make, the bubbles, having a look at it. It's like 30 seconds of just you time. It's nice.
Nice. And the other areas?
The other thing is, that we always, we know that coronavirus is transmitted from, surfaces and then onto your face, and then that's the most likely way of you catching it rather than, in air droplets. So the thing is, like, you need to try and reduce the amount that you touch your face. And obviously, as soon as I say don't touch your face, the first thing you want to do is touch your face.
One of the things that I've started to do when I go out is that I wear gloves. And it's not so much to protect me from touching surfaces, it's just to be aware that not touch my face, because I don't tend to touch my face as much when I'm actually wearing gloves.
Yeah. What I've noticed I do is I hold my hands like this when I'm on the train.
Okay, yeah.
So sort of just so I'm aware of where they are in space.
Great. And then the final thing, social distancing. Why is that so important?
So social distancing is essentially trying to distance yourself from other people, to try and reduce the speed of transmission from one person to other in groups of people. And essentially the reason for this is to try and help to protect those who are more vulnerable to the illness. So those who have underlying medical conditions, or the elderly population, as those are the 2 groups that we know are going to have more complications if they catch this virus.
And it's because if the virus spreads too quickly, there'll be too many people that are ill and the medical services won't be able to cope with the number of people.
It's exactly. So what they talk about is flattening the curve. So what we don't want to see is a big spike of people catching the virus at the same time, because that will totally just, we won't be able to cope.
So that's why it's really important to follow the guidelines of whatever country you're in and what it is they're saying, because we can't look at this individually, we have to look at it collectively.
And that's why it's really, really important to follow these rules. It feels so insignificant, but actually it's a collective response, and those rules work if everyone follows them.
Brilliant.
Thank you so much, Rhys, not just for sharing your wisdom and expertise today, but for your selfless work on the front line and keeping us all safe. So, in summary, 5 to thrive. 5 areas where you can make small changes to boost your well-being, which can be summarised in the acronym Keep It Clean. Clear. Maintain clarity of thoughts and good mental health. Be mindful what information you put into your head. With news and social media, stay informed, but without becoming overwhelmed. Gratitude. Take time to note the things that you're grateful for. Meditation. Now, meditation won't stop you from having negative thoughts, but it may help you stop believing them. Love. Love and connection with others is especially important when we're in isolation. Use technology to stay in touch as much as possible. And keep your conversations positive. Share helpful tips and resources. Keep it playful. We all need a little bit of fun now more than ever. Energy. Maintain a healthy, vital body. Sleep. Maintain a regular sleep pattern and make sure that you're getting enough rest. Exercise. Even 15 minutes a day will make a real difference. Take advantage of lots of online classes. Hydration. Drink enough water so that your wee is straw coloured. Achievement. Having a sense of achievement is so important. Keeping our routine as close to normal as possible, especially if you have children. Boundaries. Be clear on when it is that you are working and when it is that you're not working. And goals. Perhaps use this as an opportunity to set a personal goal for yourself. Meaning. Having a sense of purpose and meaning is probably now more important than it's ever been. Check in with your neighbours, offer to do shopping, or just have a chat. Use technology. Join or start initiatives online to help out in your local community. And finally, I think this crisis offers a wake-up call, a chance to think about what's really important in our lives, perhaps to shift from consuming to contributing. Now, I hope that you found it useful today, this video, to bounce back quickly in the face of the coronavirus and to be your best self. Now, I'd love to hear from you. What did you find most useful about this video and what action are you going to take? Please leave your comments in the section below. I look forward to seeing you soon, and in the meantime, be well, stay safe, and thrive.